Aloha, Hugh O'Reilly with Maui Resort Realty here on Maui, and today I want to talk to more particularly to my Canadian clients and talk about mortgages. And I've been reading some current information on what's occurring in Canada and the stress tests and how the government there is working hard to make sure that people aren't getting into mortgages that if inflation occurs and rates jump significantly, that they don't fall out of mortgage in a couple of years because they were too close to the line. So I understand that, but it also is cumbersome and makes it difficult. And so the reason I'll talk about that is because in the US they don't have that, and part of that reason is that we can here provide mortgages at a much longer term. So the Canadians will know that you can get a 25-year mortgage, but the longest you can get is perhaps a 5, maybe slightly longer term. And it's that length of term that concerns the government, because people are opting for 1 or 2-year mortgages. And then if something happens, they're worried that the income won't have increased as much as the mortgage monthly payment when you go to renew, causing stress in the market. So if you are Canadian looking to invest, maybe take out some equity from a property, sell it there while your market's hot, and move it here to Hawaii or Maui. The mortgage side of it is really very similar. If you can qualify under a Canadian system as far as how much debt you're carrying, what are your payments going to be looking like, they'll factor all that in here, and they will do mortgages to Canadians, and they'll probably be looking for 30% down. That would be the big difference. You're going to have to come up with more and bring it across the border at the current exchange rate, which is better than it was even just a year ago. I think the rate now is probably about 20%. It was pushing 30 not too long ago. So that isn't quite as painful. But if you do have a mortgage here and you are doing rentals, then again, you're eligible for all the same deduction as any U.S. citizen would be as far as against expenses versus income. So I always encourage everyone, before you get too far down the road, you can find accountants in Canada that are well versed in U.S. and Canadian tax law, and their business has taken off because of the number of Americans that are purchasing in warm states, down in the Southwest, in Florida, but also in places like Hawaii. So, and there's also a lot of Americans that live in Canada that have to file tax returns in both countries. So their business, they're out there. You just have to Google them and you can find these people to give you some advice. I can't, but I can encourage you to get that in advance before you start getting too deep into the looking at the real estate. So mortgages here are still extremely competitive. You're probably pay a slight premium being Canadian, maybe add a quarter point. So if an American citizen was eligible at a rate of 3.5, you might pay 3.75. And again, the down payment probably structure would be close to the same at 30% for most properties that they consider to be a second home or investment, because you won't qualify for a residential rate, which would be lower. So I hope that helps people. It is an opportunity. Our market is extremely tight. The inventory is very, very low. But the flip side is the tourism side of it is absolutely booming. We're seeing occupancies similar to what the peak were in 2019, which was the record that Maui had ever seen. And we're seeing the rates are up. So if you're trying to book a holiday here, or you'll quickly realize what you have to pay to come, and I think that's happening in a lot of the great destinations. People are had enough with COVID. They want to get out, they want to explore, and they're willing to pay for that experience. So Maui's no exception. If you are interested in trying to own something here, let's have a conversation. Please reach out to me. I'll explain where we're at and what it's going to take to try and move you from thinking about it to actually being able to write a contract, to hopefully closing out on something that you can have for your family. All right, thank you again, and we'll talk to you next month.